We were working on mixture problems, so when we are mixing solutions, and we were using tables to help organize our information. Today, we're going to use that same strategy, but I do want to look at some interest problems. This is another scenario where it's used. Do you guys know the formula for simple interest? E times R times T equals I. So it's principal. That just means starting amount. Times rate, which is your percent, times your time, which has to be measured in years, equals the amount of interest earned. So you might jot that down, and then let's look at some problems. Sarah has $70,000 to invest and requires an overall rate of return of 9%. She can invest in a safe government-insured certificate of deposit, but it only pays 8%. To obtain 9%, she agrees to invest some of her money in non-insured corporate bonds, paying 12%. How much should be placed in each investment to achieve her goal? So again, we have a lot of information here. She has a lump sum she has to invest, and she's going to split it into two different investments to get there. So let's make a table to organize our information. My rows are the different investments. So she is going to put some of it at 8%, some of it at 12% to get her total, which is 9%. Remember, the total is always the number in the middle. I have 8, 9, and 12, so 9's the middle. It's got to be my total one. My formula, if we are talking about investments, that's the interest formula. So principal times rate times time equals interest. All right. So if we look at this, she has $70,000 to invest. So that's our starting amount, that's principal. Is that the amount she's putting at 8%, the amount at 12%, or all together? All together. So that is my total principal, the total starting amount that we have. Now, we are going to put some of it in the government-insured corporate bonds. Do I tell you how much? I just said some of it, so what should I call that? X. Okay, 8%, so my rate would be? Okay, we put some of it in the bonds paying 12%. I don't know how much, but can I call that one X also? No, because I can't say that they're the same. What would I do instead? I had one like it yesterday. I know my total. If I had put 10,000 at 8%, how much would I have left for this one? Close. Close. You have to do the total. So the 70,000 that we had, subtract off the amount we already used. Okay, that was 12%, so 0.12. We're trying to get 9%, so 0.09. Okay, did I tell you how long we were investing? No. If I don't tell you the time, we will just use 1 year. If I said 6 months, what would you use for your time? 0.5. 6 months is half a year, so 1/2 or 0.5. A lot of times you may not be told, so you can just assume 1. So then our formula, P times R times T. X times 0.08 times 1 is 0.08x. This one, I would have 0.12 times 70,000 minus x. It's 1.09 times 70,000. Our equation is the same as before. How do we get it? What would I do? You add the first two to equal your total. 9 like terms. Let's subtract over my 83 or 8,400. Are we done? No, we always have to go back and answer the question. The question said how much should be placed in each investment. So when I look back, I see X is the amount at 8%. So she needs 52,500 at 8%. Okay, to get my 12%, what would we do? Right, let's use that formula. So 70,000 minus 52,500 gives me 17,500. Any questions there? Good, this problem. Linda won $200,000 in a state lottery. She first paid income tax of 30% on the winnings. Of the rest, she invested some at 1.5% and some at 4%, earning $4,350 interest per year. How much did she invest at each rate? What should I do? Make a table. Okay. So some of it is invested at 1.5%. Some of it gets invested at 40%. Or sorry, 4%. Did I tell you the interest rate you're getting at the end? No, so I'm just going to call this total for a minute. So my formula, P times R times T equals I. Okay. She won $200,000. Is that the amount she was able to go invest? No, because before she ever got that amount, she paid taxes. So what should I do? Okay. So I have to do 200,000 times 0.3, and that gives me 60. That's the amount she paid in tax. So to figure out how much she had left, you have to think 200,000 minus the 60,000. So her total amount she was able to invest is just 140,000. Taxes are rough. All right. So I said she invested some at 1.5%. Do I know how much? So what would I call it? And some at 4%. So what would I do for this one? Okay, my rate, 1.5%. You always move your decimal back 2, so 0.015. 4% would be 0.04. I'm talking about interest per year, so my time is just 1 year. I don't know this interest rate for my total, but that's actually not a problem, because what else did I tell you in the question up here? What haven't we used yet? I told you how much interest she's getting. Her total interest is $4,350. Our goal is just to get this final column. If I have some holes over here in my table, that's fine as long as I have the final column. So now we just multiply, so 0.015 times 1 times x, 0.04 times 1 times 140,000 minus x. So our equation is the same. You add the first two to equal your total. Plus 5,600 minus 0.04x plus 4350. So if we combine like terms, 0.015 minus 0.04 would be negative 0.025. Subtract over the 5,600, negative 1250. Divide. That says 50,000. The question was how much at each rate. Invest 50,000 at, I look at my table, X was the amount at 1.5%. To get the other one, we have to do 140,000 minus our 50,000. 90,000 at 4%. Any questions on those? So can you guys handle interest problems? Let's look at this question. Peripheral Visions offers downloads of live concerts. The company places an ad in a trade newsletter. The cost of the ad is $100. Peripheral Visions pays the performer $20 per download, and the company charges $24 for each customer downloading the performance. Part A, express the cost as a function of X, the number of downloads sold. So I'm asking for C of X, a formula for the cost. Right, so the cost is what the company is paying. What does the company have to pay? They have to pay $100. How many times do they pay that? Is that a one-time thing or is that repeated? We put an ad in the newsletter, so we put one ad in. So the cost of that ad is $100. So it's a one-time thing. What else are they paying? They pay the performer $20 per download. X is the number of downloads. So the amount they have to pay $20 for every download. So that would be 20X. Plus they have to pay that $100 one time. It's just like a line. Your 20 is repeated, so that's your slope. The 100 is a one-time fee, so that's our y-intercept. If I look at B, we want the revenue as a function of X. So I'm writing a formula for revenue. What does revenue mean? What you're making, the money you're bringing in. What do they get paid? So that's a repeated thing. How would I write that? 24X. Do we have any other like one-time checks coming in? No, that's it. All right. C. For what value of X does revenue equal cost? So this is sometimes called the break-even point. When would you break even? I want my revenue, which was 24X, to equal my cost, which was 20X plus 100. If I subtract over my 20X, divide by 4, we get 25. So 25 downloads is when we would break even. Okay, if there are more downloads than that, we're going to make money. If there's less downloads than that, we would lose money. I want you guys to try one of those.
No.
What?
Not really.
Something real high. Okay, our cost. So the baker makes cakes. Initial cost to get into the fair was $40. Each cake costs $2.50 to make, and she charges $6.50 to sell them. So what would her cost be? All right, B, your revenue. What's revenue?
How much you make per cake?
And we are making $6.50 per cake, so $6.50 times number of cakes. If revenue is equal to cost, so 650x, it's equal to 250x plus 40. So x is 10 cakes. That's our break-even point. Alright, did we have any issues with that one?
Absolutely agree.
Let's try this one. A company produces 10 solar heaters for $7,500. The cost to produce 20 heaters is $13,900. Express the cost y as a linear function of the number of heaters x. I'm just asking you to write the equation of a line. Think y equals mx plus b. That's what we're looking for. What were we given in the problem? What would I do with these four numbers? These are two-order pairs. X was the number of heaters, so when I have 10 heaters, the cost $7,500. When I have 20 heaters, the cost is $13,900. So we need slope. Y2 minus Y1 for X2 minus X1. We were doing this last week, so it should be familiar. 640. And then what do you do once you have your slope? Yeah. Most of you last week were using the point slope form. Remember, this is like our x1, y1. So y minus our y1 equals our m, x minus x1. Add over the 7,500. So we have our equation. 640x plus 1,100. All right. Part B. Determine the cost to produce 25 heaters. What would we do? The 25 heaters is my x. So we plug that into the equation.
1,700 or 7,100. Get discounts the more you buy.
Any questions there?
Not really, actually.
I'm going to go ahead and look at the last couple problems. We're almost done. These are a lot shorter. So it tells us a trapezoid has an area of 169 square inches, a height of 13 inches, and a base of 19 inches. Find the length of the other base by first solving this formula for B1. So I'm asking for two things here. First, I want you to solve for B1 in this formula. So I have to get that B sub 1 by itself. Alright, so think about that. We have this 1/2 in front. How would I get rid of the 1/2? Okay. Multiply by the reciprocal, which is just 2. So if I multiply by 2 on each side, we have 2a equals h times B1 plus B2. Alright? Trying to get to B1. You have two options. You can either distribute the h, or I could go ahead and move the h to the other side. It's multiplied, so we would divide if we wanted to. do to get B1 by itself? So 2a over h minus b sub 2 is equal to b sub 1. That's the first thing I asked you to do. So we should be able to manipulate formulas to get a variable by itself. Second thing, I'm asking you to calculate something. So using that formula we just got, the area is 169, so that's my A. The height is 13, so that's my H. One of the bases is 19, so that's my B2. So then we can solve for B1. So we get 7 inches. I want you guys to try these. All you have to do is get the specified variable by itself. So on A, get L by itself. On B, get F by itself. So what'd you do on the first one? So P minus 2W equals 2L. So divide by 2. So you could have P minus 2W over 2, or you might have had P over 2 minus W. Either of those answers is okay. Second one, how would I get rid of that 5/9? Multiply by 9 over 5. So then to get F by itself, we add the 32. So F is 9/5 C plus 32. Is that okay? So you can finish this handout.